I move quietly down the marble hallway, the heels of my shoes clicking softly. Each step is measured, careful, invisible. The mansion is massive, but I've learned to navigate its emptiness like a shadow. I dust, polish, arrange, tasks that seem meaningless in the eyes of those who inhabit these walls. Yet, I perform them with precision because in this silence, I feel my small life has purpose. Anna? Mrs. Bell's sharp voice echoes from the kitchen. Check the silverware. It's crooked again. Yes, ma'am, I whisper, rushing to the sideboard. I straighten each piece meticulously, my fingers trembling slightly. It's just a spoon, just a tray, but in this house, even small mistakes are noticed. I glance toward the library door. It's closed, yet I feel him there. Adrian Blackwood, the man whose name alone commands silence in every room. The man I've watched from afar for months, nurturing a quiet, foolish affection I dare not voice. I tell myself he never notices me. I am just a maid. Invisible. But my heart refuses to listen. Today, as I dust the tall shelves, I feel it, a weight behind me. A presence. My pulse quickens. I turn slightly, heart hammering. Shadows ripple in the doorway. His eyes, dark, intense, are on me. I freeze. It's impossible. He can't see me. He doesn't care. And yet, his gaze lingers longer than it should. I duck my head, pretending to polish the floor though my hands shake. I dare not move. I can't breathe. I wonder if my heart has betrayed me, if it is too loud, too obvious, too foolish. Anna, Mrs. Bell calls again, her voice pulling me back. Are you dawdling? No, ma'am, I reply, swallowing hard. My eyes flick toward the library, but the doorway is empty now. My imagination, I tell myself. Surely. I resume my work, hands moving automatically, mind elsewhere. Every brush of the duster feels deliberate, careful. Every step, every movement, calculated. Because if he is watching, I cannot let him see weakness. The day moves slowly. I carry trays of tea, dust chandeliers, and adjust the curtains. And still my thoughts drift. To him. To that fleeting glance. To the possibility that he has noticed me at all. In the dining room, I pause near the grand piano. A sheet of music lies open, the notes delicate, almost teasing. I've never touched the piano before, but something compels me. My fingers brush the keys lightly, producing a soft sound. A melody begins to take shape in my mind, fragile but persistent, like a whisper meant only for him. A sudden cough makes me jump. Adrian is there, leaning against the doorway. My chest tightens. I can barely speak. You work fast, he says quietly. Not a question, not a reprimand, just observation. My throat tightens. I want to say something clever, witty, anything, but I can't. Thank you, sir, I manage to whisper. He smiles briefly, a fleeting expression that disappears as quickly as it came. Keep at it, he says and leaves. My chest aches. Every step he takes feels both near and impossibly distant. My hands tremble slightly as I return to polishing the silver. Later, I retreat to the kitchen to fetch water. I glance at my reflection in the polished oven door. My hair is neat, my apron spotless. A maid. Invisible. Yet something inside me pulses with hope, a dangerous, fragile hope. I touch the small locket around my neck, my mother's, a token of courage. Even if Adrian never notices me, I remind myself I exist. I matter. A shadow moves across the hallway behind me. Not Mrs. Bell. Not a fellow servant. Adrian. He doesn't speak, doesn't approach. He just watches. I drop the glass slightly, clattering it onto the counter. My heart thunders. Minutes pass. He doesn't leave. He doesn't speak. He merely observes. I force myself to finish, my hands shaking. Finally, the shadow retreats. He is gone. I return to the drawing room, brushing dust over the piano keys again. I imagine him sitting here, noticing my quiet diligence, my small gestures, my subtle presence. The thought makes my chest tighten, a mix of longing and fear. I pause by the library once more. The door is closed. Shadows stretch across the floor like long fingers. My reflection in the glass shows a maid, small, unremarkable, invisible. But inside my heart beats loudly, relentlessly, unashamedly. I step outside for a moment into the cool evening air. The front gates loom behind me. The wind brushes my face, carrying a sense of possibility. Could he be noticing me? Or is it only my imagination? I close my eyes. I tell myself, I am invisible. I am small. I am a maid. And yet, inside, my heart insists on louder truths. I exist. I matter. And somewhere behind those walls, someone has noticed. Maybe. Just maybe. I walk down the driveway, my footsteps echoing against the stones. Every sound, every shadow feels charged. A quiet house. A loud heart. Mine. And for the first time, I allow myself to hope that perhaps his eyes might one day see me not just as a maid, but as someone worth noticing. The kitchen is warm, filled with the aroma of roasting meat and fresh bread. I wipe my hands on my apron, careful to keep my movements precise. Today, I'm responsible for preparing the evening meal. It's not difficult work, but every step must be perfect. In this mansion, a mistake can make me invisible, or worse, make me a target. "Anna, check the potatoes," Mrs. Bell calls, her voice clipped. I nod and move quickly, my thoughts still lingering on the brief glance Adrian gave me yesterday. The memory flares in my chest, sweet and unbearable. As I peel and chop, the kitchen door swings open. Clarissa, Adrian's fiancée. The woman whose beauty rivals the sun, and whose cruelty matches it. She floats into the room, perfectly dressed, hair immaculate and eyes sharp. My stomach tightens. "Oh, how quaint," she says, watching me. "The little maid thinks she can cook?" I stiffen but continue working. My hands shake slightly. I've learned to endure her comments silently, but today her presence feels heavier. I start, but she cuts me off. "Really, Anna?" she says, her tone syrupy but biting. "Do you ever get anything right? Or is this your usual chaos?" I freeze. The knife in my hand trembles. The words sting more than the slightest nick to my fingers could. "I'll try harder, ma'am," I whisper, my voice barely audible. My pride burns, though I force myself to continue chopping. Clarissa laughs softly, a sound like ice cracking. "Try harder? Sweetheart, you should know your place. Some of us are born for elegance, for society. And some, well, we watch from the sidelines." I swallow, trying to breathe normally. My hands keep moving, slicing the potatoes into neat, even pieces. My heart pounds like a drum. I want to run, to escape into the shadows where I belong, invisible and unnoticed. But I stay. I must. "I'll do better," I murmur again. She tilts her head, eyes narrowing. "Oh, I think Adrian might find this amusing. That you think your little efforts could matter. Really, Anna, do you imagine he even notices you?" The words hit harder than a slap. My chest tightens, and for a moment I feel something inside me crack. I catch my reflection in the shiny pot. A maid. Invisible. Humble. Insignificant. I don't know, ma'am," I whisper, each word tasting bitter. She smirks. "Exactly. Don't trouble yourself with things beyond your station. Some things are simply out of reach." My hands stop moving. The knife rests on the cutting board. The vegetables are chopped neatly, yet I cannot feel satisfaction. Only humiliation. Only shame. Only the quiet ache in my chest. Footsteps echo in the hall. "Adrian." I hear him enter, and my chest leaps, hoping for intervention, for a glance that might rescue me. "Clarissa," his voice is calm, steady. "Is there a problem?" Her smirk doesn't falter. "Just enjoying a little observation." Anna here is, well, she tries. "Isn't that right?" I glance at him. His eyes are steady, calm, but distant. He says nothing. He watches. My heart twists. Anger. Shame. Desire. Longing. All in one impossible knot. "I'll finish the potatoes," I say quickly, voice firming despite my trembling hands. I carry the tray to the counter, keeping my gaze lowered. Adrian doesn't move to stop her, doesn't offer a word of protection. My chest aches. The betrayal is subtle but deep. Clarissa steps closer, brushing past me. Her perfume invades my senses, making my stomach turn. "You know, Anna, sometimes I wonder if Adrian really deserves to see your efforts. Or if you'll just embarrass yourself further." I swallow hard, forcing a calm expression. "I only want to do my job well, ma'am," I say quietly. She laughs again. "Cute. Really. But some of us shine naturally. Others are merely shadows." I stiffen, every muscle taut. The words slice through me. And yet, beneath the humiliation, something else grows. A quiet, stubborn love for Adrian. Even now, even knowing he lets this happen, I cannot deny the pull of my heart toward him. Minutes pass. Clarissa moves to inspect the pantry, humming as if she owns the house. I work silently, my pride bruised, my hands moving automatically. Every chop, every stir, every movement is perfect, but my chest feels hollow. Finally, she leaves the kitchen, gliding past me without another word. I exhale, a shuddering breath, relief and lingering shame mingling in equal measure. I clean the counters, trying to steady my heartbeat. My reflection in the copper pots shows a girl who works tirelessly, unseen, who loves in silence, who bears humiliation quietly. Adrian appears at the doorway again. I glance up, expecting perhaps judgment or worse, reprimand. Instead he watches, quietly. His eyes are unreadable. Not anger. Not disappointment. Not approval. Just observation. "Anna," he says softly, his voice low. "The kitchen smells remarkable tonight." I blink, unsure. My heart leaps. For a moment hope flares. He has noticed after all. "Thank you, sir," I whisper, voice trembling. He gives a small nod, then turns and leaves without another word. My chest tightens, a mix of gratitude and frustration. He has seen, yet he has not intervened. Not directly. Not for me. I set the tray down, breathing heavily. My pride aches almost as much as my heart. I hate that I love him so quietly, so desperately, without acknowledgement. I hate that Clarissa's words wound me so deeply. I retreat to the back hallway, seeking solitude. I lean against the cold wall, hands pressed to my chest. My thoughts swirl. Anger, longing, shame, and stubborn love. The betrayal stings, though not from him. From her. From the world. From the cruel truth that the man I adore does not, or cannot, protect me. I clutch my mother's locket around my neck. Small, cold, yet comforting. A symbol of strength. A reminder that even in humiliation I survive. Even in invisibility I endure. I hear footsteps echoing again, Clarissa's or Adrian's I cannot tell, and my heart tightens. I straighten, smoothing my apron. The mansion is large, but I am learning that even in its vastness eyes watch. Hearts observe. And though I remain silent, my love grows quietly, desperately. Tonight I will finish my chores. I will polish, clean, arrange, and perfect. And tomorrow I will return. Because this house may not see me, this world may not value me, but I am here. I exist. I endure. I hope. And somewhere in that silent observation, I know it has begun. The first crack in the walls of invisibility. Perhaps he notices me. Perhaps not. But for now, I am small. I am unseen. I am a maid. And I am quietly, hopelessly, entirely, in love. I run from the kitchen, ignoring Mrs. Bell's call. The mansion's hallways feel suffocating after Clarissa's words. My hands tremble as I push open the back door. The garden is cool, the air fragrant with roses and damp earth. I slip between the hedges, desperate for solitude. I sink onto the stone bench beneath the rose bushes, hiding my face in my hands. Tears spill freely, warm and bitter. No one sees me here. No one knows. I hate this, I whisper to myself, voice barely audible over the rustle of leaves. Why does it hurt so much? Memories come unbidden. My childhood, small and crowded, full of struggle. My mother working 2 jobs, her hands rough but gentle when she hugged me. My father long gone, leaving me to learn patience, humility, and silence. Every sacrifice I've made, every step I've taken quietly, has brought me here, to this mansion, serving people I cannot reach, loving a man who may never see me. I've done everything right, I murmur. And yet, a shadow passes across the path. I freeze, pressing my hands harder against my face. My chest tightens. I know that figure anywhere. Adrian. He stops a few steps away, hands in his pockets, expression calm but unreadable. I don't look at him. I refuse. I will not give him the satisfaction of seeing me like this, broken, humiliated. "Anna," he says softly, careful not to startle me. "Are you all right?" I shake my head slightly, still refusing to meet his eyes. "I'm fine," I lie, voice quiet and brittle. "No," he replies gently, stepping closer. "You're not fine. I can see it. Your hands, your posture, your heart. Something is wrong." I bite my lip, holding back another sob. How can he see me here in this private, vulnerable moment? I want to shrink into the earth, disappear beneath the roses. "Please," I whisper finally. "Don't. Just don't." He hesitates, but his gaze does not waver. "I'm not going to hurt you," he says. "I just noticed." Noticed? My voice rises slightly, more bitter than I intended. "That's all? You noticed me?" He flinches as if struck. He pauses, choosing words carefully. "I didn't mean to startle you. I just what?" I demand, trembling. "I work every day. I endure insults. I watch the woman you love belittle me. And you watch too. You notice me, yes. But you don't act. You don't stop her. You just watch." His eyes soften, conflicted. He swallows. I didn't know how to. I didn't want to embarrass anyone. Or make things worse. I close my eyes, tears streaming down my cheeks. My chest aches. You didn't want to embarrass anyone, I repeat bitterly. But what about me? Did you think I didn't matter? His jaw tightens. You do matter, he says quietly. More than you know. But he trails off. I sniffle, leaning against the cold stone of the bench. It doesn't feel like it, I murmur. Every day I try. Every day I hope. And every day I'm invisible. Or worse, a joke. He kneels in front of me, close enough that I can see the tension in his jaw, the faint tremor in his hands. Anna, he says, voice low, steady. You are not invisible. Not to me. I see you. I've seen you quietly for months. Your work, your heart, your patience. Everything. I flinch at his words, unsure if I should believe him. And Clarissa? I whisper. You let her. I know, he interrupts gently. I should have acted. I didn't. And I regret it. But it's not that I don't notice you. I've been trying to understand. To measure. I lift my head, eyes meeting his briefly. His gaze is intense, searching, honest. And yet, I feel exposed, vulnerable, raw. I want to retreat, to hide. But there is something magnetic in his presence, something that pulls me forward despite the ache in my chest. Measure what? I ask softly. Everything, he admits. Your strength, your loyalty, your heart. He swallows hard. I didn't know how to approach you. How to see you properly. I shake my head slightly, letting a tear fall. I didn't ask for proper. I asked for fairness. For respect. For acknowledgement. His hands twitch as if he wants to reach for me, but he hesitates. I see that now, he says quietly. Silence stretches between us, heavy with words unsaid and emotions barely contained. The roses sway in the gentle evening breeze. I brush my fingers against the petals, trying to anchor myself, trying to hold on to the pieces of pride I have left. You've been so quiet, he murmurs almost to himself. And yet, so loud. In ways I didn't understand until now. I sniffle again, voice breaking. I want to be seen, Adrian. Truly seen. Not just noticed or watched from afar. Seen. His gaze softens further, almost tender. You are, he says simply. I want to believe him. I want to lean into this moment, to let my guard down completely. But the pain of Clarissa's words, of the silence in the kitchen, lingers. The betrayal stings too deeply. I need to go inside, I whisper finally, rising slowly. My legs feel heavy. My heart is heavy. My chest tightens with conflicting emotions. Anger, longing, shame, hope. He doesn't move to stop me. He simply watches, as if trying to memorize every small motion, every tremor, every fragile heartbeat. I'll see you later, I murmur, stepping away. Yes, he replies softly. Later. I walk back through the hedges, my tears hidden beneath my hands. My body aches, my heart aches, and yet, something shifts. I feel the faintest spark of hope. That maybe, just maybe, he is beginning to understand me. That he notices me not only for my work but for me. The garden falls behind me, its colors muted in the fading light. The roses whisper in the breeze. I pause at the doorway, hand on the handle, and glance back once. Adrian is still there, a shadow among the flowers. Watching. Waiting. My chest tightens. My heart leaps. And I know one thing for certain. This quiet moment, this silent observation, changes everything. I step inside, closing the door behind me. The garden is behind me, but its truth lingers. He has seen me, truly. And though the path ahead is uncertain, the first thread of connection has been woven. Tonight I cry in secret. I ache in secret. I endure in secret. But tomorrow something feels different. Because he saw me. And that changes everything. I enter the kitchen early, long before anyone else stirs. The sunlight is pale, casting soft shadows on the countertops. The quiet hum of the refrigerator is the only sound until something catches my eye. A small folded note sits atop the cutting board, sealed with a simple wax stamp. I hesitate. My hands tremble as I pick it up. The handwriting is neat, unfamiliar, yet strangely personal. You did well yesterday. Keep going, Anna. Someone notices. I drop the note for a moment, certain it's a mistake. Perhaps another maid's joke. But no, there's no one else here. My fingers curl around it again, heart hammering. Adrian. It must be him. He noticed me. I laugh softly, though it trembles into a sob. Me. A maid, unnoticed for months, now holding a note from the man I've admired in silence. Warmth floods my chest, confusing, dizzying, frightening. I clutch the note to my heart, afraid to breathe too loudly. He really sees me, I whisper. A soft cough makes me startle. Clarissa stands in the doorway, a faint smile playing on her lips. "Oh, how touching," she says, voice dripping with faux sweetness. "A little note from the great master himself? Or did you imagine it?" I stiffen, heat rising to my cheeks. I don't know, ma'am," I murmur, careful not to give away the truth. She laughs lightly. "Of course you don't know. You hardly ever understand anything beyond your little chores. Tell me, Anna, do you imagine he notices you often? Or is this a rare fantasy?" I grit my teeth but say nothing. My pride is bruised, yet the note's warmth clings to my chest. Her words sting, but they cannot erase the truth that someone, Adrian, is aware. "Anna," she continues, stepping closer. "Do you really believe you could ever matter to someone like him? Do you? Tell me. I want to hear you admit it." I pause, gripping my apron tightly. I want to deny it, hide my feelings, retreat into shadows. But I can't. "I care. For him," I whisper, voice low, trembling. She smirks, eyes cold. "And yet here you are, polishing silver, scrubbing floors, invisible. How amusing. I hope you understand your place, little maid." The words cut me, but the note burns in my pocket, a quiet flame against her mockery. I finish my task with rigid movements, each one precise, each one defying her disdain. Hours pass. I move from one chore to another, feeling the tug of the note like a lifeline. I keep it hidden, rereading the words in secret. Adrian noticed me. He left a message, small, cautious, kind. The gesture is anonymous, yet it pierces my heart like sunlight through clouds. And then, as if on cue, Clarissa's cruelty escalates. During lunch service, she drops a plate with a sharp clatter near my feet. "Careful, Anna," she says sweetly, though her eyes glint with malice. "Wouldn't want you to ruin anything else today, would we?" "Yes, ma'am," I reply quietly, heart pounding. I bend to pick up the broken china, ignoring the sting of shame. "Do you even know what you're doing?" she continues, voice low but venomous. "I'd hate for Adrian to think poorly of you because of mistakes like this. Or worse, imagine he actually notices you at all." I swallow hard, blinking back tears. My chest aches, not from the chores, not from the physical strain, but from the sting of her words and the frustration that Adrian does not intervene. And yet, the note remains in my mind. A whisper of kindness, a proof that my silent devotion has not gone entirely unnoticed. Later, I retreat to the pantry to prepare ingredients for dinner. I unfold the note again, smoothing the crease with trembling fingers. "You did well yesterday. Keep going, Anna. Someone notices." I bite my lip, unsure how to feel. Oh, confusion? Fear of misinterpretation? He could have meant anyone. It could be a polite gesture. Yet, something in the phrasing, so personal, so precise, tells me he knows me. Truly. A sudden sound makes me jump. Adrian stands in the doorway, quiet, almost hesitant. I freeze, clutching the note to my chest. "Anna," he says softly, "I saw what happened with Clarissa. I'm sorry." My throat tightens. "It's fine, sir," I whisper. "No," he insists, stepping closer. "It's not fine. She shouldn't speak to you that way. You work hard and—" He hesitates, eyes flicking to the note in my hand. "That note, you found it?" I nod, feeling my heart surge. "Yes, sir." He studies me, expression unreadable. Then quietly he says, "I wanted you to know. I notice. Even if I don't say it." I can't find words. My chest feels too tight. My fingers clutch the note until it crinkles under my grip. I didn't know what to think," I admit softly. He steps back slightly as if giving me space. "I understand. I didn't want to make things complicated or dangerous for you. But I want you to know, your efforts matter. You matter." The weight of his words settles over me like a warm blanket. Something shifts inside, a faint, fragile hope that maybe my feelings are not entirely one-sided. Yet, the reality of Clarissa's cruelty presses heavily. She is not gone. She is not neutralized. She is still there, still sharp, still dangerous. And Adrian, though aware, remains mostly silent, cautious. I tuck the note into my apron pocket, heart racing. I will carry it with me, a secret anchor. A quiet reminder that someone sees me beyond my uniform, beyond my chores, beyond my invisibility. Hours later, as I sweep the grand hall, I hear Clarissa's laughter echo through the mansion. My chest tightens, but I continue my work. Every movement is deliberate, precise. My heart beats against my ribs like a drum. For the first time I realized something essential. This is not just about chores. Not just about invisible work. It is about standing quietly, steadfastly, in the face of cruelty, and trusting that someone notices. That someone cares. That someone, the right someone, may see me entirely without pretense, without judgment. I paused near the stairwell, glancing at the window. The sunset casts long, golden shadows across the marble floor. The mansion, vast and imposing, seems a little less lonely. Somewhere inside, Adrian's awareness lingers, quiet but undeniable. I exhale slowly, brushing the sweat from my brow. I am exhausted. Yet I am also emboldened. A small spark, a quiet whisper of kindness, has ignited something within me. Something dangerous, fragile, and hopeful. The mansion remains large, but I feel seen. Not entirely, not yet. But enough to know that tomorrow perhaps things could begin to change. And as I tuck the note safely into my apron for the third time that evening, I whisper to myself, voice trembling but steady. Maybe I'm not invisible. The evening is quiet, the mansion drenched in the golden glow of the setting sun. I move through the hallways carrying a tray of desserts, my steps measured, careful. I pretend to be absorbed in my chores, yet every instinct in me screams to listen, to watch, to learn. From behind the partially open door of the study, I hear voices, soft, deliberate, yet sharp with intent. Curiosity pricks at me stronger than caution. I edge closer, keeping the tray balanced, my breath shallow. It's almost too easy, Clarissa says, her tone smooth but laced with excitement. Adrian trusts me completely. He'll sign the contracts without a second thought, and all of this, everything, will be mine. My stomach drops. I don't like being seen as cold, she continues, but necessity demands it. Wealth, power, influence, these are not given, Anna, they are taken. I bite my lip, holding the tray so tightly it strains my fingers. My chest aches, not from the weight but from the sting of realization. She's plotting, scheming, using him. Using everything he has. And worse, he doesn't know. I step back slightly, bumping the tray against the wall. A small clatter echoes. Clarissa freezes. What was that? She hisses. I freeze, heart pounding. If she discovers me, all could be lost. My pulse hammers in my ears. Nothing, Adrian's voice says, calm but sharp. He steps into the study. I peek through the crack in the door. His presence is commanding, silent, and he looks unsettled. Nothing, Clarissa echoes quickly, smoothing her expression. I was just checking the papers. Adrian narrows his eyes. Clarissa, what papers? Oh, just routine, she replies, voice tight, eyes flicking to the side. Nothing important. He studies her and my heart aches. How can he not see the truth? How can he be so blind to her intentions? I press myself closer to the wall, nearly invisible, trembling. I want to warn him. To scream. To expose the betrayal. But I hesitate. My position is small, my voice unheard. Overstepping could destroy everything. Adrian, she continues, softer now, honey-laced. You don't need to worry about anything. Everything will be fine. You just trust me. I flinch at the words. Trust. He trusts her. My stomach twists. I want to cry, to shake him awake to the truth. But I remain still, silent. The conversation continues, Clarissa's words dripping with deceit, Adrian's replies cautious, polite, unaware. I watch, my heart breaking in quiet pieces. She's manipulating him and I can do nothing. A cold realization settles in my chest. I have loved blindly. I have endured insults, humiliation, invisibility, and now I see the full extent of betrayal. Not just from her but from my own misplaced hope. I retreat, moving silently down the hallway. My mind races, plotting, calculating, refusing to succumb to despair. I will not be entirely powerless. I cannot confront her directly, not yet. But I can protect myself. My emotions. My heart. I find myself in the kitchen, brushing flour from the counter, hands shaking. The note Adrian left me days ago burns in my pocket. Someone sees me. Someone notices my work, my heart, my quiet devotion. That thought sustains me even as the sting of betrayal threatens to overwhelm. Anna, Mrs. Bell calls from the hallway. Are you all right? I glance up, forcing a steady expression. Yes, ma'am. Everything is fine. But inside I feel shattered. Hollow. Exposed. And yet, determined. I tuck the note into my apron again, as if it were a talisman against the deceit I've witnessed. My fingers brush the paper repeatedly, grounding me. Adrian notices me. That's proof. That's hope. Later, I retreat to the pantry to prepare the evening meal. The shadows are long now, stretching across the floor like fingers reaching for me. I work silently, letting my thoughts churn. Clarissa's voice echoes in my mind, her plotting, her laughter. I remember every word, every hidden threat. And I decide, quietly with my heart and mind aligned, I cannot remain entirely passive. I must protect myself, emotionally, strategically. Not out of vengeance, not yet, but out of survival. I pause, wiping my hands on my apron. The locket at my neck glints in the soft light. My mother's gift. My anchor. My reminder that I endure, I persist, I rise quietly even when shadows loom. I imagine Adrian's face, calm, distracted, unaware of Clarissa's schemes. My chest tightens. I love him, yet I cannot rely solely on his awareness. Not anymore. The first step, I realize, is vigilance. Observation. Quiet action. I will not act recklessly, but I will act deliberately. The mansion, vast and imposing, cannot contain my resolve. As I move through the dining hall, setting the table for dinner, I catch sight of Clarissa through the mirrored wall. Her expression is practiced, flawless. But in my mind I replay her words, her intentions, her subtle manipulations. I see the cracks in her mask. The first hint of karma, perhaps, though it is distant, quiet, yet undeniably there. Anna, Clarissa's voice floats behind me, sweet and sharp. Make sure the silver is aligned perfectly. We wouldn't want Adrian to think you're careless again, would we? I nod, expression neutral. Yes, ma'am. Inside my chest tightens. I grit my teeth, forcing my hands to move smoothly, aligning each utensil with deliberate precision. Every action is controlled. Calm. Observant. I refuse to give her the satisfaction of seeing me shaken. The evening meal arrives. Adrian is present, calm, composed, though I sense the weight of something unsaid in his posture. He glances at me briefly, eyes flicking with quiet acknowledgement. My heart flutters, but I remain silent. Clarissa sits opposite, her smile polished, her demeanor flawless. I note every detail, the way she leans slightly forward when speaking to Adrian, the subtle glances toward the family safe, the contracts. The mansion is large, but I begin to see it as a web, a series of connections, actions, and intentions. And I am no longer entirely powerless. After dinner, I retreat to the kitchen, washing dishes silently. My hands move automatically, but my mind is alert, cataloging every conversation, every gesture, every subtle threat. Clarissa's cruelty has revealed itself fully now. Adrian's trust in her is a weapon in her hands. But I have noticed, I have seen, and I will survive this. I clutch my mother's locket again, drawing strength from its weight. I whisper to myself, quiet, determined. I will not let this break me. I will endure. I will rise quietly. And when the time comes, he will see me truly. The mansion is vast, darkening with the night. Shadows stretch across the walls. Clarissa moves through them with practiced grace, unaware that I have learned her rhythm, her intentions, her weaknesses. The first conscious thread of my silent resolve is woven. I finish the last dish, setting it aside to dry. The note in my apron pocket presses against my heart. Adrian notices me. That knowledge sustains me. That proof gives me courage. Tomorrow I will observe. I will prepare. I will endure. And slowly, silently, I will change. Because love alone is not enough. Not when betrayal walks these halls. Not when the shadows are alive. I step back, looking at the clean, gleaming kitchen. My hands are steady now. My mind is sharp. My heart, though aching, is resolved. Shadows of betrayal may loom large, but so does my determination. And for the first time I feel the faintest spark of power, quiet, subtle, but real. A whisper of change has begun. And nothing will be quite the same again. The mansion is quiet in the early morning, the sunlight pale and hesitant as it slips through the tall windows. I move with deliberate steps, carrying a tray of tea to the library. Every motion feels purposeful now. Every gesture measured. I pause at the library door, setting the tray down carefully. On it, Adrian's favorite tea, the leaves steeped to his precise taste. A small folded note rests beside the cup, written in my neatest handwriting. Thought you might enjoy this before your morning meeting. I step back, watching silently from the hallway. He enters moments later, eyes catching the tray. I see a flicker, curiosity, appreciation, but he says nothing, only picks up the cup and inhales the aroma. My chest tightens with quiet satisfaction. This is new for me. Not bold, not reckless, but subtle. Small gestures, quietly placed, unnoticed by the world yet capable of touching the man I admire. The idea excites me, gives me purpose. Anna? Mrs. Bell's voice breaks through my reverie. I startle slightly, turning. Yes, ma'am? Your efficiency is improving, she says, eyes sharp but approving. Even Clarissa might notice someday, though I doubt it. I nod politely, hiding the thrill that rushes through me. Every improvement, every carefully timed gesture, every small act of observation is my new armor. I'm no longer passive. Later, in the kitchen, I hum quietly as I arrange the dessert table. The silver gleams under my careful polish, the candles aligned perfectly. Clarissa passes by, eyes flicking over the display. Anna, she says sweetly, it's impressive today. Almost like you've learned something. I meet her gaze briefly, neutral. Thank you, ma'am, I reply evenly, letting no warmth betray my satisfaction. She smiles faintly, but I sense the subtle tension beneath it. She notices my change. So Adrian. So the mansion. I feel it. And I like it. By mid-afternoon, I find a quiet moment in the pantry to refine my skills. Knife work, chopping with precision, measuring ingredients exactly. Each task, mundane to the untrained eye, becomes a small test of control, discipline, and focus. Adrian appears at the pantry doorway, almost ghost-like. My pulse jumps. He leans casually against the frame, expression calm but unreadable. You're improving, he says softly. I pause, lifting my gaze. I've been practicing, sir, I admit quietly. He steps closer, hands in pockets. I noticed. The tea this morning, your timing. Everything. My chest flutters, but I remain composed. I try to be thoughtful, I whisper, voice steady. He nods, expression softening, though guarded. You are. I see it. More than you know. I bite my lip, holding back the rush of warmth. I want to ask him, to tell him, but I do not. My strength lies in subtlety, in silence, in small, quiet power. I hope it's helpful, sir, I say, keeping my tone neutral. It is, he replies simply. No praise, no judgment, only acknowledgement. Enough. After he leaves, I lean against the pantry wall, exhaling slowly. The thrill of quiet control runs through me. Love alone is not enough. I need more. I must grow stronger, not just for him but for myself. The days pass like this. Small victories, careful observation, measured gestures. I leave little notes, place cups of tea, subtly rearrange flowers in the study. Adrian notices, but his curiosity is quiet, restrained. My heart leaps every time I see that flicker in his eyes, but I remain calm. My satisfaction is in the act itself. Clarissa predictably notices too. Her comments become sharper, thinner veils of sweetness. Anna, she says one afternoon, tilting her head, you're improving. But don't get too proud. You're still beneath us. I meet her gaze evenly. Yes, ma'am, I reply, hands steady. Inside, I feel a surge of quiet triumph. I am no longer entirely beneath her notice. She sees my change, though she cannot define it. That evening, I retreat to the garden for a brief respite. The roses sway in the wind, and I trace my fingers along the petals, thinking of Adrian. The small gestures I leave for him, the notes, the tea, these are my secret power. My silent language of care and attention, unnoticed by others, but understood, I hope, by him. I hear footsteps, careful and measured. I look up. Adrian stands at the edge of the garden, watching me. His gaze is steady, almost contemplative. You've been busy, he says quietly. I try, I reply softly, hands clasped together. He steps closer. I notice everything. The way you move, the care you take, the thought behind every little action. I glance at him, heart hammering. I don't expect recognition, sir, I whisper. He shakes his head gently. Recognition isn't the point. You matter. And it shows. Even in silence. I let the words settle, savoring them quietly. I do not respond further. I have learned that strength is often quiet, deliberate, unseen. And yet it has power. Back in the mansion, I continue my work with renewed focus. Clarissa passes by, her eyes sharp, searching for flaws. I move with deliberate perfection, every step calculated, every gesture measured. She notices, I am sure, but she cannot unravel what she does not understand. That night, after the mansion falls silent, I sit in the servants' quarters reviewing my day. Each gesture, each careful action, each silent note for Adrian, they are threads weaving a new strength within me. I am no longer solely dependent on his notice, though it sustains me. I am building something quieter, deeper. My locket rests against my chest, a constant reminder of endurance. The mansion's grandeur is still imposing, but I am learning its rhythm, its subtle currents. I am learning to navigate its minefield with my own mind, my own skills, my own quiet determination. The note I left for Adrian that morning rests beside me. I touch it gently. He has not spoken of it, not directly, but I know he knows. And that knowledge fuels me, a secret warmth that strengthens my resolve. Tomorrow I will continue to improve, to observe, to act quietly, to assert myself subtly without revealing the full measure of my strength. Because love alone is not enough. And I am learning what it truly means to hold power. Quiet, silent, effective power. The mansion sleeps. I do not. My mind races with possibilities, strategies, and subtle gestures yet to be made. Each small act is a step toward control, toward agency, toward an independence I have never claimed before. I glance at the window, catching Adrian's silhouette in the distance. He walks with that same quiet precision, unaware yet watching. I smile faintly, almost imperceptibly. I do not need him to act. I do not need him to speak. I am acting. I am planning. I am becoming stronger. And when the time comes, I will no longer be just a maid. I will be more. Not through confrontation. Not through loud declarations. But through quiet, deliberate, patient strength. The mansion, once a cage, begins to feel like a stage. A place where my subtle influence can ripple outward, unseen yet felt. My gestures, my notes, my silent presence. All instruments of power that no one else comprehends. I breathe deeply, closing my eyes. My heart pounds with anticipation and quiet triumph. Love alone is not enough. I know this now. But love, paired with my own cultivated strength, that may just be unstoppable. I rise from my seat, brushing my hands against my apron. Tomorrow is another day, another opportunity to grow stronger, to act with subtlety, to leave my mark without revealing the hand behind it. The mansion sleeps, but I do not. I am awake, aware, and quietly formidable. A secret strength has begun. The mansion hums quietly in the morning light. I move through the halls with careful precision, arranging linens, polishing silver, and preparing the rooms for the day. Every motion is deliberate, controlled. I am no longer the timid, invisible maid I once was. From the corner of my eye, I notice Adrian lingering near the staircase, hands clasped behind his back. He watches me as I adjust a vase of lilies in the main hall. Noticing him noticing me sends a shiver down my spine. My chest tightens, not with fear but with quiet triumph. He sees me now. My efforts, my care, my subtle gestures, they have not gone unnoticed. "Anna," he says quietly, stepping closer. His voice is low, deliberate. The arrangements, very thoughtful. I pause mid-step, keeping my expression neutral. "Thank you, sir," I murmur, voice steady. My heart races beneath the surface, but I do not let it show. He studies me for a moment longer, eyes lingering on my hands, the careful way I align the flowers. "You're different," he says finally. I tilt my head slightly, masking the thrill his words ignite. "I try to improve, sir," I reply softly. He nods but says nothing more, turning away as if leaving the comment unspoken allows it more weight. I watch him go, my chest still fluttering, my mind quietly exhilarated. This is a new balance. I am no longer invisible. My patience, humility, and quiet persistence are shaping perception without confrontation. Meanwhile, Clarissa continues her efforts to assert dominance, though subtle cracks begin to show. Earlier in the kitchen, she attempted to direct the staff with an exaggerated display of authority, only to trip slightly on the edge of a rug. A small clatter, but enough to draw amused glances from the cooks. "Are you all right, ma'am?" one of the younger maids asks softly, trying to stifle a smile. Clarissa's cheeks flush faintly, her composure faltering for a brief moment. She nods, voice sharp, rehearsed. "Yes, I am fine." I watch from the side, unnoticed. A small smile tugs at my lips. Karma, quiet but present, begins its subtle work. Patience, observation, and humility can influence outcomes without a single word of confrontation. I feel a quiet satisfaction at the unfolding balance. Later, in the study, I leave a small note on Adrian's desk, a simple message folded neatly. "I thought you might like some fresh tea before your afternoon meeting." I step back, careful to leave the room unseen. Moments later, I see him pause as he enters. He picks up the note, glances at it, and allows a small, fleeting smile. His eyes flick toward me briefly from across the hall, and then he continues with his tasks, thoughtful, restrained. I retreat quietly, heart swelling with silent triumph. I have learned the power of subtle action. Influence can ripple without overt force. My gestures, small and deliberate, leave impressions that are beginning to shape the perception of those around me, even Adrian. During the evening meal, Clarissa's attempts at manipulation continue, but they falter in small, telling ways. She speaks sharply to the staff, attempting to assert authority, yet her words come out clipped, uneven. Several servants exchange small glances, barely noticeable, but enough to erode her dominance. "Anna," she says suddenly, voice too bright, "pass the bread, will you?" I slide the basket toward her, hands steady, eyes neutral. She glances at me briefly, a flicker of surprise crossing her features, before she smooths her expression. The subtle shift is gratifying. I sense that my quiet persistence, combined with her increasing frustration, begins to tilt the invisible scales. Karma is small, quiet, but unmistakable in its first signs. Later, Adrian finds me in the pantry, quietly preparing ingredients for the next day's meals. He leans against the doorway, arms crossed, watching. "You're very different now," he says softly. I glance up, neutral expression, hands steady. "I try, sir," I reply quietly, carefully. He steps inside, close enough that I sense the faint warmth of his presence. "It's not just your work. It's how you carry yourself, how you observe, how you anticipate. You've changed." I feel a flutter of pride, tempered by caution. I try to be thoughtful, sir," I murmur. He studies me for a long moment, then nods, voice low. "I've noticed more than you know." I swallow, keeping my composure. His acknowledgement fuels me silently, a quiet power forming within me. I do not need loud praise or recognition. This subtle awareness, this careful observation, is more potent than words could ever be. As the evening progresses, I continue my work, observing every small movement, every glance, every subtle interaction within the mansion. I notice Clarissa's eyes flick toward the kitchen repeatedly, her composure faltering just slightly each time. Her authority, once absolute in these halls, begins to show cracks. I maintain my calm, silent presence. My gestures, small and deliberate, are noted by Adrian and increasingly by the staff. The mansion's subtle social currents are shifting. The power balance, once skewed heavily in Clarissa's favor, begins to adjust quietly, almost imperceptibly. Later I retreat to the garden. The roses sway gently in the night breeze, their fragrance calming yet invigorating. I sit on the stone bench, letting my hands brush along the petals. My thoughts drift to Adrian, to the notes, the tea, the small gestures. I feel a deep satisfaction in the knowledge that patience, humility, and careful observation can create change without confrontation. A shadow moves across the garden path. I look up. Adrian stands a few feet away, hands in pockets, expression unreadable but attentive. "You've been busy," he says softly. I smile faintly, neutral, keeping my composure. "I try," I whisper. He steps closer, gaze lingering. "I see everything," he says quietly. "Even when you don't realize it. Your efforts, they matter. More than you know." I feel warmth spread through my chest, tempered by restraint. I do not respond further. Strength, I have learned, is often quiet, deliberate, and unseen. And yet, it ripples outward, influencing perception, shaping the world subtly, like the wind brushing through the garden. He studies me a moment longer, then turns, leaving me to the roses and the night air. I watch him go, heart swelling with quiet triumph. The mansion sleeps, yet I am awake, aware, and quietly influential. I realize fully now that my patience, humility, and subtle actions have begun to shift the invisible balance. Clarissa's manipulations falter. Adrian notices me in new ways. The household too begins to respond to my silent strength. Karma, subtle but certain, is at work. I breathe deeply, touching the locket at my neck. My mother's gift, my anchor, reminds me that endurance, quiet vigilance, and careful action are powerful tools. The mansion, once overwhelming and oppressive, now feels navigable. Every gesture, every note, every cup of tea, is a thread weaving influence silently yet surely. Tonight, I rest with a sense of quiet triumph. Unseen yet observed. Humble yet influential. Patient yet strategically aware. I am no longer passive. I am no longer invisible. The first ripples of change, subtle but undeniable, have begun. And I know, deep in my heart, that patience, humility, and silent action will continue to shape the days ahead. Tomorrow, the mansion will feel different. I am ready. The storm rages outside, rain hammering against the mansion's tall windows. The wind howls through the chimneys, making the grand halls groan under its force. I move quietly down the dimly lit corridor, clutching a tray of tea for Adrian. Something in the air, electric tense, urges me forward. I find him in the library, seated alone in the armchair by the fireplace. Shadows from the flickering flames dance across his face. His expression is unreadable, yet the storm outside mirrors something inside him. Restlessness, tension, maybe loneliness. "Sir," I whisper, entering carefully. He looks up, surprised but not displeased. "Anna," he says softly. "You didn't have to bring tea, but thank you." I place the tray beside him, hands steady despite the storm's intensity outside. "I thought it might help, sir, a warm cup while you read." He nods, glancing down at the steaming tea. Thoughtful. Very thoughtful. A silence settles between us, broken only by the wind and rain. I consider leaving, but something in his posture, vulnerable, open, makes me hesitate. I feel an unusual pull, an urge to remain. "You seem distant tonight," I say softly, voice low. He chuckles faintly, a bitter edge to it. Distant? Perhaps. Or weighed down. Life tends to accumulate even for those who seem untouchable. I tilt my head, curious. "What do you mean, sir?" He exhales slowly, eyes staring into the fire. "I've spent my life building walls, Anna. Walls of wealth, of control, of precision. To protect myself. To hide mistakes. Vulnerabilities. The parts of me I fear could be exploited." My chest tightens. Vulnerability. Not arrogance. Not pride. Not the distant, untouchable figure the world sees, but a human being, fragile in ways I never imagined. "Everyone has those, sir," I whisper. "Moments they hide from the world. Moments they fear will be judged." He turns his gaze toward me, studying me as though seeing me for the first time. "Do you really understand that, Anna? Even with your small, quiet life?" I nod, heart pounding. "I do, sir. I've learned that even the strongest appearances can conceal the deepest fears." A flicker of a smile touches his lips. "I suppose that's why I notice you. You see things. You notice the subtle, the quiet, and yet you remain patient, observant, steady, not easily shaken. It's rare." The words wash over me, a wave of warmth and tension. I want to respond, to tell him how much it means to hear that. But I remain composed, understanding the gravity of the moment. "I try, sir," I murmur softly, voice steady but tinged with emotion. He leans back in the chair, staring into the flames again. "You have no idea how comforting it is to be seen like that. To feel recognized without being judged. To have someone notice the subtleties of effort even when no one else does. I feel my heart swell with empathy, love, and something deeper, an understanding of the man behind the mask. Adrian is human. He is flawed. He feels. He regrets. "I'm glad, sir, that you feel understood," I whisper, almost reverently. His eyes flick to me, unguarded, for a brief moment. "Anna, there are moments when I regret the choices I've made. The trust I've given to people unworthy. The walls I've built so high that even kindness struggles to reach me. And I wonder if I will ever find someone who sees past it all. Someone real." I feel a pang in my chest. My love, quiet and steadfast, feels heavier now, aware of the gap between us, the barriers he's erected. Yet the empathy I feel for him swells, softening the ache of longing. "You could be seen, sir," I murmur, voice low, careful. "By the right people. By someone who notices even the quietest of gestures. Even the moments you think go unseen." He smiles faintly, a mix of amusement and something I cannot name. "Perhaps. But that requires trust, doesn't it? Trust in the one who notices. Trust in their intentions." I nod, understanding the weight behind his words. To be seen fully without judgment requires more than courage. It requires faith. A sudden gust of wind rattles the window panes, drawing our attention to the storm outside. He glances at the lightning flashing across the sky, then back to me. "You have changed, Anna," he says quietly. "Not just in your work, but in the way you carry yourself. You endure. You observe. You act quietly, deliberately. And yet, you leave traces of yourself, subtle, unseen, but impossible to ignore." I feel my chest tighten, a mixture of pride and vulnerability. He sees me, not entirely, not yet, but enough to recognize my presence. My silent influence. My quiet strength. "I try to be steady, sir," I whisper, aware of the tremor in my voice. He leans forward slightly, resting his elbows on his knees. "Steady, yes. But more than that, you're remarkable. I didn't expect to meet someone who could challenge me quietly without confrontation. And yet, you do. The words strike me, echoing in the quiet library. Challenge quietly. Influence subtly. Recognition without disruption. I feel a warmth spread through me, tempered by the awareness of the distance still between us. Sir, I begin softly, hesitating. I care about you. I want to help, to support, to be someone you can trust. He freezes slightly, eyes wide, then exhales slowly. Anna, you already are. You already do. I feel my throat tighten. The vulnerability, the unspoken truths, the silent connection, we share them even in the absence of confession. I glance at the window, lightning casting brief, silver shadows across the library. I don't want to overstep, I whisper, voice low. I just wanted you to know that I... He raises a hand gently, stopping me. I know. I understand. And that matters more than you realize. But there is a space between us, isn't there? A gap shaped by circumstance, by caution, by necessity. I nod, swallowing hard. Yes, sir. I understand. He leans back again, eyes returning to the fire. I suppose that's the tragedy of connection sometimes. We feel it, yet circumstances, walls, trust, timing, keep us distant. But he glances at me, quiet, intense. We notice. And that in itself is rare. I feel my heart swell with emotion, empathy, love, and the weight of distance. I have glimpsed behind the mask, seen the man Adrian truly is, human, capable of regret, capable of deep emotion, yet burdened by walls he has built. I sit quietly, letting the moment linger. The storm outside rages on, but within the library, time seems suspended. Lightning flashes again, briefly illuminating the depth in his eyes. You inspire thought, Anna, he says softly. Even in silence you move things. Not through words but presence. Quiet action. Observation. It's remarkable. I feel a shiver of recognition and pride. My silent strength, my patient endurance, my subtle gestures, they do not go unnoticed. Even Adrian sees them. I hope, sir, I whisper, voice steady, that someday you find someone who sees you fully. Not just your strength, not just your wealth, but you. He smiles faintly, almost rueful. Perhaps I already have, Anna. Perhaps I already have. The storm continues outside, yet the library feels calm, intimate, suspended in time. I have glimpsed behind the mask. I have seen Adrian, not the distant, untouchable millionaire, but the man beneath. Vulnerable, human, capable of emotion, capable of regret. And I understand him more deeply. My heart swells with empathy, love, and the ache of distance. The gap between us remains, but for the first time, I see not just the barriers, but the man beyond them. I take a quiet breath, hands folded in my lap, and whisper to myself, perhaps, understanding is the first step. Perhaps, that is enough for now. The storm rages on. Lightning flashes once more, illuminating the library. Shadows dance across the walls, mirroring the complexity of emotions swirling between us. I rise silently, placing the empty teacup back on the tray. My presence lingers, deliberate, steady. I have seen and I have been seen, enough to feel the stirrings of connection, trust, and understanding. For now, that is all I need. The grand ballroom sparkled under crystal chandeliers, a sea of glittering gowns, tuxedos, and polite smiles. I stood near the periphery, hands folded, mind alert, maintaining the composure that had become my armor. Tonight was the charity gala, Adrian's event, Clarissa's stage, my test. Clarissa glided through the crowd, flawless smile in place, radiating confidence as if the entire world revolved around her. I watched silently, noting every calculated gesture, every forced laugh. Her eyes flicked in my direction once, just enough to register recognition, but I did not respond. I had learned that quiet dignity holds more weight than any display of charm. Hannah, are you managing all right? Whispered Mrs. Bell as she passed, eyes keen. Yes, ma'am, I replied softly, keeping my focus. The evening progressed smoothly until the main presentation began, a charity auction followed by speeches. Clarissa, naturally, positioned herself near Adrian, attempting to shine in his glow. But tonight the tide shifted. It began subtly. A tray of champagne she had been gesturing toward wobbled, spilling onto the floor just as she turned to greet a prominent guest. Gasps echoed through the ballroom. She froze, a momentary falter in her poise, and I could see the faint crimson rise on her cheeks. Oh dear, she whispered, voice trembling slightly, attempting to salvage dignity. Adrian's eyes, across the room, caught mine for a brief moment. There was no harsh judgment, only a subtle acknowledgement. He saw. He saw the difference between panic and composure. I stepped forward instinctively, offering a napkin to the staff nearest the spill, guiding them to manage the situation quietly, efficiently. Clarissa's gaze followed my movements, sharp and calculating, but she could not speak, her arrogance faltering under the weight of simple competence. Moments later, she tried to address the guests, voice forced, laughter brittle. A guest's glass tipped against her carefully stacked folder of bids, scattering papers across the floor. The room stilled. The chaos was minor, yet public, and her attempts to regain control only emphasized the embarrassment. I observed silently, hands clasped, maintaining perfect poise. My heart raced quietly, not from triumph but from awareness. Karma, subtle and inevitable, was unfolding. And I remained untouched by it. Adrian approached then, quiet, composed. He did not speak of the mishaps, did not draw attention to them. He walked past Clarissa, eyes scanning the room, and stopped near me. "You handled that well," he murmured, voice low enough for only me to hear. I inclined my head slightly, keeping my expression neutral. I try to stay composed, sir," I replied softly, heart fluttering beneath the calm exterior. His gaze lingered. Composed and discreet. That speaks volumes. I allowed a faint, almost imperceptible nod. My quiet integrity, patience, and dignity were being noticed. Not by loud displays but by subtle observation. And Adrian, for the first time, seemed to truly measure the character of those around him. Clarissa recovered enough to finish her speech, but the applause felt muted. The staff exchanged discreet glances, whispers passing unnoticed by the guests. Her arrogance, once so commanding, now seemed brittle. Throughout the evening, I moved quietly, anticipating needs, offering assistance only when necessary, never overstepping. Each gesture, small and deliberate, contrasted sharply with Clarissa's flustered attempts at control. The difference was palpable. Even the staff, previously cautious, now seemed to respect my calm efficiency. Adrian's attention shifted subtly throughout the evening. He lingered near me, observing without words, eyes scanning not just my actions but my demeanor. His subtle smiles, the occasional glance of recognition, the quiet acknowledgement of effort, all reinforced the growing awareness of loyalty and character. At one point, a mismanaged hors d'oeuvre tray threatened to spill near Clarissa. She flailed, attempting to prevent disaster, only drawing more attention to herself. I stepped forward, hands steady, guiding the staff with gentle authority. Adrian's eyes followed every movement, noting the contrast between panic and calm, arrogance and quiet control. Later, when the speeches concluded, Adrian approached me as the crowd began to disperse. "Tonight, you were remarkable," he said softly, voice low, deliberate. "Not for show, not for recognition, but simply because you remained composed when others faltered." I swallowed, heart beating rapidly, maintaining calm. "I try, sir," I whispered, careful not to overstep. He nodded, gaze intense. "You do more than try. You act. You influence quietly without drawing attention to yourself. And in doing so, you reveal character. True loyalty. Integrity." I felt warmth rise in my chest, tempered by humility. Adrian's acknowledgement was quiet, personal, yet it carried weight far greater than public praise ever could. Meanwhile, Clarissa attempted to recover, offering a forced smile to a guest who had witnessed the earlier mishap. The contrast could not have been starker. The staff's subtle nods to me, Adrian's silent recognition, my own calm composure, all highlighted the disparity between display and substance. Karma was not loud. It did not strike with spectacle. It rippled quietly, observed by those who mattered most. After the final guests departed, the ballroom emptied, leaving the echo of footsteps and the faint scent of spilled champagne. I lingered near the entrance, ensuring the staff managed cleanup with discretion. Adrian appeared beside me, quiet, composed. "Anna," he said softly, eyes reflecting the dim light of the chandeliers. "Tonight, clarified much for me. About loyalty. About character. About people." I inclined my head slightly, voice measured. I hope, sir, that everything went smoothly." He smiled faintly, expression unreadable yet thoughtful. "It did. And it revealed more than any display of wealth or charm could. You handled yourself with dignity. Quietly but unmistakably. That will not go unnoticed." I felt a swell of pride, tempered by awareness. My role remained silent, subtle yet impactful. The mansion, the household, Adrian, each was beginning to notice in ways beyond words. Clarissa, meanwhile, departed with a stiff smile, clearly aware that the evening had not gone entirely as she intended. Her arrogance, once a shield, had proven brittle. And though she would attempt recovery, the seeds of consequence were sown. Karma, patient and precise, had begun its work. Later, in the quiet of the mansion's corridors, I found a moment to breathe, hands brushing over the polished banister. My heart beat steadily, mindful, calm. Tonight had been a test, not of skill, not of charm, but of patience, integrity, and composure under pressure. And I had passed. Adrian approached silently, hand resting lightly on the banister beside mine. You were remarkable tonight, Anna. I have always noticed, but tonight, it became undeniable. I kept my gaze forward, voice steady. Try, sir. His eyes softened. And that is what matters. Actions. Integrity. Loyalty. Quiet strength. All of it. You embody it. The weight of his words settled over me, warm and steady. He had seen beyond charm and manipulation, beyond appearances, into the essence of character. And in doing so, he was beginning to reevaluate not just his perceptions but his relationships, and perhaps, his feelings. I inclined my head, silent acknowledgement enough. My heart swelled, tempered by the knowledge that true recognition often comes quietly, not with fanfare, but with careful observation and awareness. As we moved through the empty corridors together, I sensed a subtle shift, not just in Adrian but in the mansion itself. Karma, patience, and silent integrity were shaping outcomes. My quiet composure, my dignity, and my subtle influence had begun to manifest consequences for those who acted with arrogance and selfishness. I realized fully that power does not always announce itself with noise. It often works in silence, observed only by those capable of seeing the truth beneath the surface. And tonight, that truth had been revealed. The morning sunlight streamed through the tall windows of the mansion, casting long golden beams across the polished floors. I moved through the halls with purpose, a clipboard in hand, lists and schedules carefully checked. Today was no ordinary day. Adrian had asked me to organize the spring gala, a major event that would bring together influential guests, charity donors, and society's elite. It was a responsibility I had never imagined being entrusted with, yet here I was. My hands trembled slightly as I reviewed the final seating arrangements, but only for a moment. I had prepared for this, studied the layouts, anticipated each detail. This was my chance to demonstrate that my dedication, intelligence, and quiet strength were more than small gestures. They mattered. Anna, Adrian's voice broke my concentration. He stood near the doorway, observing with that quiet intensity one had grown accustomed to. Everything is ready for the final walkthrough? I turned, maintaining my composure. Yes, sir. I've checked the arrangements, coordinated with the staff, and confirmed the vendors. Everything should proceed smoothly. He stepped closer, eyes scanning the clipboard in my hands. I trust you completely. Your attention to detail, it's impressive. A flicker of warmth rose in my chest, tempered by the awareness that praise from Adrian carried more weight than any public acknowledgement. Thank you, sir, I said softly, voice steady. I will want everything to reflect the mansion well and your efforts for the charity. He nodded, gaze lingering on me longer than usual. You have a way of making it seem effortless, when I know how much work goes into it. I notice the care, Anna. Always. I allowed myself a subtle smile. His recognition, quiet but deliberate, was validation of all the silent hours, the careful observation, the patient endurance. My transformation, the shift from invisible maid to competent, influential presence, was no longer hidden. Adrian was noticing. Clarissa, meanwhile, fluttered into the room like a bird startled, attempting her usual air of control. Anna, she said, voice sharp and measured, have you finalized the arrangements for the main hall? I trust everything is perfect. I looked at her, calm, collected, tone neutral. Yes, Clarissa. Everything has been arranged according to the specifications, with adjustments for comfort and accessibility. The staff has been briefed on timing and coordination. Her smile faltered slightly, brittle, as if my composure unsettled her. Good, very good, she said, voice tight, stepping back. Adrian's eyes followed the exchange, subtle but unmistakable. He observed the contrast between her strained insistence and my steady assurance. The difference was clear to him. Loyalty, competence, and quiet strength stood against arrogance and performance. Later, as we walked through the mansion's grand halls, reviewing details for the evening, I felt the shift more tangibly. Adrian asked questions, not to test me but to gauge perspective, to involve me in decisions. His voice held respect, his tone collaborative rather than commanding. You've considered the lighting for the main hall? He asked quietly, glancing at me. Yes, sir, I replied. I chose warm tones to enhance the ambience and highlight the floral arrangements. It will also create a comfortable environment for the guests, making interactions more natural. He nodded thoughtfully. Good. And the seating? I trust your judgment on the placement of our key donors. I allowed a faint, confident smile. Yes, sir. I've positioned them to encourage conversation, maximize engagement, and maintain balance. I've also included discreet spacing for privacy where needed. He paused, studying me. You've truly thought of everything. Impressive, Anna. More than I expected. I kept my expression neutral, hiding the thrill of recognition. Adrian's acknowledgement was subtle, but it carried power far beyond words. I felt a quiet satisfaction, realizing that the emotional and power dynamics were shifting. I was no longer invisible. He was beginning to recognize not only my feelings but my capabilities. The evening arrived, and the mansion transformed into a spectacle of elegance. Guests arrived, laughter and chatter filling the halls. I moved among them quietly, ensuring details ran smoothly, observing without interference. Every subtle adjustment, every discreet intervention, reinforced my presence without overt display. Clarissa, predictably, attempted to assert dominance, positioning herself in the center of attention. But tonight her efforts faltered. A minor miscommunication regarding seating caused a ripple of embarrassment. I intervened quietly, guiding the staff to correct the issue without fanfare. Adrian noticed. His gaze lingered on me, brief but full of recognition, a subtle acknowledgement of competence and poise. Later, as the gala reached its peak, Adrian approached me in the library, away from the crowd. The warm glow of the fireplace reflected in his eyes, drawing me in. You've done exceptionally well tonight, Anna, he said softly. Not just the arrangements but how you handled the situation with Clarissa. Calm, discreet, effective. I inclined my head, hands folded, voice steady. I try to remain composed, sir. I want to serve efficiently. He stepped closer, gaze fixed on mine. It's more than service. You've demonstrated intelligence, foresight, and patience. Leadership even in quiet ways. And tonight, it's undeniable. My chest tightened. His words, deliberate and soft, held a weight I had never experienced. The power shift was real. My hidden transformation, the subtle development of skill, patience, and quiet authority, was recognized. You've changed, he continued, voice low. Not just in capability but in presence. You no longer fade into the background. You influence the space, the people, the outcomes. I felt a surge of both pride and vulnerability. I have tried, sir, I whispered, careful not to overstep, aware of the delicate balance. Adrian's gaze softened. You've succeeded. I've noticed more than I expected. Not just your skill but your heart, your dedication. Everything you've done quietly, it speaks volumes. The weight of his acknowledgement settled over me. He had seen my growth, my resilience, and the depth of my feelings without needing a grand confession. Recognition had shifted the dynamics between us, subtly but irrevocably. Clarissa appeared then, attempting a graceful entrance, her smile forced. Adrian's gaze flicked toward her, then returned to me. I saw the quiet realization in his eyes. He understood the contrast, the difference between true competence and forced performance, between loyalty and self-interest. The power had shifted. I remained composed, standing with poise, allowing the evening to flow. Each gesture, each subtle intervention, reinforced my presence. Adrian's attention lingered, not in obligation but in recognition, curiosity, and perhaps a deepening awareness of his own feelings. Later, as the final guest departed, Adrian lingered near the grand staircase. Anna, he said softly, voice intimate, deliberate. Tonight, clarified much. About loyalty, capability, and character. About who can be trusted, and who reveals true intent under pressure. I inclined my head, voice low and steady. I hope I have met your expectations, sir. You've exceeded them, he murmured. And, more than that, you've revealed something important. That influence, respect, and admiration can come quietly, without display, without demand, simply through integrity and strength. I felt warmth rise, tempered by humility. The mansion, once an intimidating labyrinth of hierarchy and expectation, now felt navigable. My transformation, silent, deliberate, hidden, was acknowledged. The power dynamics had shifted. I was no longer invisible. Adrian's perception, understanding, and perhaps even feelings had changed. I glanced toward Clarissa, who hovered awkwardly near the exit. Her smile no longer reached her eyes, her confidence diminished. The contrast could not have been clearer. Karma, patience, and integrity had quietly demonstrated their power. Adrian's hand brushed lightly against my arm as he spoke again. You've earned more than notice, Anna. You've earned respect. And perhaps, something more, though that requires time and understanding. I swallowed, heart fluttering beneath calm composure. I understand, sir, I murmured softly. He nodded, gaze lingering, acknowledging the subtle yet undeniable transformation. The mansion was quiet now, empty but for us. The gala, the performance, the tests of patience and skill, all had demonstrated the shift. Power, I realized fully, is often unseen. Influence works quietly through action, integrity, and patience. Tonight, that truth had been made clear. And Adrian had begun to see me as more than a silent observer. As I stepped back, hands folded, I felt the weight of the moment settle. The mansion was no longer a place where I faded into shadows. I had emerged, respected, acknowledged, and quietly influential. And Adrian had noticed. The late afternoon sun slanted through the tall windows of the drawing room, illuminating dust motes that danced lazily in the warm light. I stood near the fireplace, arranging books on the mantel, a quiet task I had chosen to occupy myself before the evening. The mansion felt unusually tense, the air thick with unspoken words and unresolved tension. A sharp voice cut through the stillness. Anna? I froze. Clarissa's figure appeared at the doorway, posture rigid, eyes glinting with calculated fury. She stepped forward, heels clicking against the polished floor. We need to talk. Now. I set the last book down calmly, turning to face her. Clarissa, I said evenly. What is it? Her lips curved into a thin smile, brittle and sharp. You think you can insinuate yourself into everything, don't you? Every event, every decision, always present, always interfering. Do you have no idea who you're dealing with? I met her gaze steadily, hands clasped in front of me. I only try to do my work well, Clarissa. I do not interfere. I ensure things run smoothly. Her laugh was low, cutting. Smoothly? You've been undermining me all along, haven't you? Planting ideas, influencing decisions, stealing attention. I inhaled slowly, heart steady, refusing to rise to her provocation. I haven't tried to steal anything. I act as I've been asked and I remain professional. That is all. She stepped closer, voice dropping to a hiss. Professional? You think your quiet composure matters? That Adrian would notice you over me? I held her gaze, unwavering. Perhaps he sees things differently than you expect. Her eyes narrowed. Arrogant maid. You think you can take what's mine? What's already promised? I felt a chill, but my composure remained intact. Nothing is promised, Clarissa. And loyalty, integrity, and patience speak louder than arrogance. Perhaps you should consider that. She flinched at the words as if struck by their quiet certainty. Her breath hitched slightly, anger and disbelief mingling in her expression. How dare you? Before she could continue, a voice rang out behind her, strong, controlled, but with undeniable emotion. Clarissa, that is enough. Adrian stood in the doorway, eyes fixed on her. He took a step forward, presence commanding yet measured. I've watched this unfold for far too long. I've observed patience, composure, and quiet dedication. And I've observed arrogance, manipulation, and deceit. Clarissa turned sharply toward him, mouth opening, but he continued, unwavering. Your schemes, your attempts to control and manipulate. I've seen them all. And I chose to overlook them, thinking perhaps they were misunderstandings. Her face paled. Adrian. He held up a hand. No, not now. Not excuses. Tonight, I acknowledge what has been right in front of me. I ignored betrayal, while the one who has remained loyal, discreet, and steadfast has been here all along. Anna. I felt my chest tighten, a mix of relief, anticipation, and nervousness. Adrian's gaze was on me, intense, acknowledging, almost reverent. You, Clarissa whispered, voice trembling. You, the maid? You've been influencing him? I met Adrian's eyes, then back at Clarissa. I've only acted with integrity, Clarissa. I have not sought to manipulate. I have remained true to my duties and myself. That is all. Adrian's expression softened, a flicker of admiration passing through his eyes. What she says is true. Anna has shown resilience, patience, and intelligence beyond what I expected. She has earned recognition, not through deceit or performance, but through honesty and care. Clarissa's face twisted, disbelief and rage fighting for dominance. How could you favor her over me? He shook his head slowly, voice firm but calm. It was never about favor. It was about character. And the contrast tonight could not be clearer. Your arrogance has consequences, Clarissa. Your self-interest has been revealed. And Anna has proven her worth without claiming it. I felt a surge of quiet strength. The power I had cultivated silently, the patience and composure, had reached its apex. Adrian's acknowledgement validated every careful step, every subtle gesture I had made. Clarissa, trembling now, attempted one last attack. You think you can take him? You, the maid? How dare you? Adrian's gaze shifted to me, steady, unwavering. Anna, you do not seek to take. You seek only to serve well, to act with integrity, and to be true. That is more than enough. I swallowed hard, feeling my heart flutter. Sir. He stepped closer, voice low and deliberate. You've been here all along. I've watched and I've ignored my own feelings, my own oversights. And tonight, I recognize them. I recognize you. Clarissa stepped back as if struck, and I could see the full impact of her schemes collapsing in the quiet acknowledgement between Adrian and me. You've ignored me, she hissed, voice breaking. All this time. Adrian's expression hardened slightly, the last trace of tolerance slipping away. I've observed. I've weighed my choices. And I choose to acknowledge integrity, not manipulation. I choose to see the truth before me. And that truth is Anna. I felt tears prick my eyes, not of fear, not of weakness, but of release. The tension, the months of silent observation, the quiet endurance, all culminated in this moment. I had been seen truly and my presence mattered. Clarissa, realization dawning, staggered back. You can't, you're nothing to him. Adrian's gaze, sharp and commanding, held her in place. Enough. The truth does not require your approval. The consequences of your actions speak for themselves. She turned abruptly and left the room, the click of her heels echoing down the hall. The air seemed lighter, charged with relief and tension, a battlefield cleared. Adrian finally exhaled, eyes softening as he turned toward me. Anna, I should have acknowledged you sooner. I should have seen the loyalty, the care, the patience. Or regret not realizing it earlier. I blinked back, tears, voice trembling slightly. Sir, it is understood. You saw and you recognized it. That is enough for me. He reached out, hand brushing mine gently, a subtle yet deliberate touch. No, Anna, it is more than enough. I see you fully. Not as a maid. Not as someone silent in the background. But as someone capable, strong, and remarkable. Someone I value deeply. My chest tightened, emotions swelling. Sir, care for you. I have always cared. Quietly, yes, but deeply. His eyes softened, and I could see the truth reflected there, recognition, admiration, and regret for the time lost. Anna, I feel the same. I ignored my own feelings, blinded by circumstance, arrogance, and oversight. But no longer. You have my full attention now. The room seemed to hum with energy, a tangible shift in the air. The confrontation had reached its peak, not in loud accusation, but in the quiet acknowledgement of truth, loyalty, and feelings long suppressed. I felt a weight lift from my shoulders. The tension, the months of silent endurance, the careful cultivation of composure and patience, all had led to this moment of emotional clarity. Adrian stepped closer, voice low, steady. You have strength beyond what I expected. Not just resilience, but integrity. And you have earned recognition, respect, and my trust. All of it. I met his gaze, feeling the depth of sincerity in his eyes. Sir, I accept. And I am grateful for your acknowledgement. He nodded, a small, almost shy smile touching his lips. Grateful, yes. And yet, more than gratitude, there is something I've kept from you. Something I should have acknowledged long ago. My own regret. My oversight. My blindness to what mattered most. Tears threatened to spill, but I held them back, feeling the mixture of relief, pride, and love. Sir, your recognition, your honesty, it is more than I could have hoped for. He took a step closer, gaze unwavering. Anna, you have been remarkable. And I regret not noticing sooner. But I will not waste another moment. I see you. I value you. I want you. The words hung in the air, heavy, charged with emotion. I felt my chest swell, heart racing, and a tear slip down my cheek. Sir, I want to be seen, acknowledged, and to matter. I do. I care for you. Adrian reached out, gently taking my hand in both of his. And you do, Anna. You always have. And now, I will not overlook it. I see you. Truly. The room, once tense with confrontation, now seemed calm, bathed in sunlight and resolution. The confrontation had passed, leaving clarity, recognition, and a subtle promise of connection. I exhaled slowly, feeling a deep sense of inner strength and fulfillment. The betrayal had been confronted, Adrian's regret acknowledged, and my own integrity validated. For the first time, the mansion felt like a place of possibility, where love, recognition, and emotional truth could exist alongside patience, composure, and quiet strength. And I had emerged seen, acknowledged, and valued. The mansion was quiet, a rare silence settling over the rooms after the chaos of the gala and the confrontation. I sat in the study, hands folded over my lap, heart still thrumming from the emotional storm that had passed. The flickering firelight cast shadows across the walls, and I found myself staring at the mantel, lost in thought. Adrian entered without knocking, a gesture unusual but fitting now after everything. His expression was measured, eyes soft, reflecting regret and vulnerability I had never seen in him before. Anna, he began, voice low, deliberate. I owe you an apology. Not just for tonight but for the months I failed to see what was always in front of me. I regret not noticing your devotion, your patience, your integrity. I swallowed hard, heart tightening. The words were sincere, but the weight of months of silence, misunderstanding, and my own pride made it difficult to respond immediately. Sir, I appreciate your honesty, truly. But, I paused, choosing words carefully, it is not easy to undo months of oversight. Feelings, and trust, they are delicate. He nodded, stepping closer, his eyes searching mine. I know. And I do not expect everything to be forgiven instantly. I only ask that you understand my regret is genuine. Have been blind and I wish I could turn back time. But I cannot. All I can do is be honest now, and hope you will hear me. I felt a mix of warmth, anger, disappointment, and lingering love swirling inside me. Months of silent observation, quiet affection, and subtle endurance had led to this moment. I realized how much I had grown, not just in patience but in understanding my own worth, my own power, my own independence. Sir, I whispered, voice steady despite the fluttering in my chest. I have learned to rely on myself. I have learned that my value does not come solely from recognition or affection. I am no longer invisible to myself. His hand lifted slightly, hesitant, as if reaching out but unsure. Anna, I see you, fully, and I want to make amends. Not to erase the past, but to honor the truth of who you are. I studied him, the flicker of vulnerability in his eyes, the tension in his posture. I realized this was more than a plea for forgiveness, it was an acknowledgement of his own failings, his own blindness, his own growth. And I had a choice. I care for you, sir, I admitted softly, but I also know that love without recognition of oneself can be dangerous. I must decide if accepting your affection now is a step forward, or a compromise of the strength I've worked to cultivate. His gaze softened, a flicker of understanding passing through. Anna, I do not seek to compromise you. I only wish to walk beside you, acknowledging fully who you are and what you've endured. I am prepared to wait, to earn your trust, to respect your choice. I felt a tear slip down my cheek, quickly brushed away. Sir, your words, they are meaningful. But I must be sure that my heart does not bind itself blindly again. I have learned to see clearly, to weigh actions, and to choose wisely. He nodded, voice gentle. I understand. And I will accept your choice, whatever it may be. But know this, Anna, you are seen, valued, and cherished. I took a deep breath, letting the firelight and the stillness of the room anchor me. My mind replayed the months of hardship, the quiet observations, the small acts of care I had offered without expectation, the betrayals I had endured, the silent recognition I had finally received. I choose to recognize both of us, I said finally, voice steady, carrying weight. I see your regret, your honesty, and your acknowledgement of what I've endured. And I also see myself. I will not abandon the strength I have cultivated. But I am willing to explore what may come with eyes open and heart aware. Adrian's eyes softened and a faint, almost tentative smile touched his lips. Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will honor it. I will not take your strength for granted. I will strive to walk beside you, not above you, not blind to your worth. I nodded, feeling the weight of months lifting. The mansion, the grandeur, the silent corridors that had once felt so intimidating, now seemed welcoming. The acknowledgement of truth, the confrontation of betrayal, and the recognition of growth had transformed not just Adrian's perception but my own. "Sir," I said softly, voice gaining strength, "I have learned to care for myself. And now I allow myself to consider caring for you, with the knowledge that my heart remains aware, resilient, and free." He stepped closer, hands gentle as he reached for mine. "Anna, I will never ask you to surrender that freedom. I only wish to stand beside you, fully aware of who you are and what you deserve." A quiet warmth filled the room. For the first time I felt balance, not submission, not expectation, but choice. I realized that true love did not demand blindness, did not require compromise of self. It asked only for honesty, respect, and mutual acknowledgement. "I accept, sir," I said softly, holding his gaze. Not blindly but with awareness and with hope. He smiled then, a small, luminous expression that reached his eyes. "Anna, that is more than I could have asked for. And I will cherish it. I promise." The room seemed to breathe with us, a quiet harmony settling over the study. Months of tension, patience, observation, and quiet endurance had culminated in this delicate balance of power, love, and recognition. "I am proud of myself," I whispered almost to myself, feeling the culmination of growth, patience, and resilience. "I have endured. I have grown. And now, I choose. Not because of fear or desire, but because of clarity and strength." Adrian's hand squeezed mine gently, anchoring me in the present. "And that choice is what makes this real. Not the past, not regret, not fear. But choice. Your choice, Anna." I let a slow smile form, tears welling but not falling. "Yes, my choice. I choose wisely." He drew closer, voice soft, intimate. "And I will honor it. Always. Your strength, your integrity, your heart, all of it. I see it. I see you." I felt the warmth spread through me, the quiet satisfaction of having endured, the pride of recognizing my own worth, and the gentle thrill of mutual acknowledgement. The mansion, the quiet halls, the flickering fire, all became a sanctuary, a witness to the power of patience, growth, and moral clarity. "Sir," I whispered, voice barely audible, "thank you for seeing me, truly seeing me, for acknowledging my devotion, my strength, and my choices." He smiled, soft and genuine. "Anna, it was always there. I only failed to notice. But now, I do. And I will not fail again." The weight of regret, the months of oversight, the silent endurance, it all settled into clarity. I felt a sense of resolve, strength, and emotional maturity. The past could not be erased, but the future was mine to shape, alongside someone who now truly saw me. "I am ready," I whispered, holding his gaze. "Ready to walk forward, with awareness, strength, and hope." Adrian's eyes shone, filled with warmth, regret transformed into promise. "Then let us walk forward together, Anna. With truth, clarity, and choice." I nodded, heart steady, and for the first time in months, felt the equilibrium of recognition, love, and self-respect. My moral clarity, my emotional maturity, and my ability to choose freely had not only preserved my independence but also allowed the possibility of shared affection, fully conscious and acknowledged. The mansion, once a stage for trials, observations, and subtle tests, now felt like a place of balance. I had endured betrayal, cultivated strength, and faced my own emotions. And in doing so, I had arrived at a place of moral certainty, emotional maturity, and empowered choice. "Sir, I am grateful," I said softly, "for your honesty, your acknowledgement, and your promise." He drew me into a quiet embrace, not possessive, not demanding, but respectful, honoring the balance between recognition, affection, and independence. "Anna, and I am grateful for you. For your strength, your heart, and your choice." I felt warmth spread through me, a quiet yet powerful sense of completion. Not the end, but the beginning, of understanding, mutual respect, and careful love, guided by choice rather than expectation, awareness rather than blind emotion. And in that embrace I realized, my resolve, my strength, my patience, and my clarity had not only preserved my independence, but had allowed love to exist fully, consciously, and without compromise. The mansion was quiet, bathed in the golden light of late afternoon. I walked through the hallways with a calm I had not known before, steps steady, heart balanced, mind clear. Months of silent observation, patience, and endurance had led me to this moment, and the weight of what had passed, the betrayals, the misunderstandings, the manipulations, had finally settled into clarity. I paused by the window in the drawing room, watching the sunlight dance across the manicured gardens. It was the same garden where I had once let tears fall in private, where my heart had been vulnerable and exposed. Now I felt strength mingled with a quiet joy, a sense of empowerment that had been earned through patience, integrity, and resilience. A soft knock at the door drew my attention. Adrian stepped in, expression open, calm, and yet carrying the weight of the past months. His eyes found mine immediately, and I saw in them understanding, respect, and a hint of hopeful anticipation. "Anna," he began, voice low, almost reverent. "I wanted to see you. I wanted to speak with you alone." I nodded, gesturing for him to sit. "Sir, you need not make it formal. We've shared enough now, haven't we?" He smiled faintly, the corner of his lips turning up in a gesture that held warmth and relief. "Perhaps. But some things still need saying. Some truths still need acknowledgement." I leaned back, hands resting lightly in my lap, heart steady. "Sir, I am listening." He drew a slow breath. "Anna, I have reflected on everything, on my blindness, my oversight, my mistakes. And I wish to make things right. Not just with words but with actions, with respect, with sincerity." I felt the warmth of his gaze, but my own heart remained guarded, tempered by the lessons I had learned. "Sir, I appreciate that, truly. But I must be honest, my own heart has been shaped by these experiences. I have grown and I cannot simply surrender myself blindly again." Adrian's expression softened. "I understand, and I will not ask you to. I only wish to stand beside you, acknowledging fully who you are and what you deserve. I respect the choices you've made, the strength you've cultivated, and the heart you've preserved." I inhaled slowly, letting the words settle. There was honesty here, a sincerity that resonated deeply with my own sense of self. The months of patient endurance, subtle care, and quiet observation had finally led to a space where recognition and affection could coexist with autonomy and respect. "Sir, I have always cared for you," I admitted softly, "but I also know that love without recognition of oneself can be dangerous. I must ensure that if I open my heart, it is on terms that honor my own strength and dignity." He nodded, reaching out to gently take my hand. "Anna, I would never ask you to compromise that. I only wish to walk beside you, not to overshadow you, not to blind you to your own worth. I see you. Truly." I felt a warmth spread through me, a quiet thrill tempered by pride and self-respect. "Sir, I am willing to open my heart, but only with the awareness that it remains my own, guided by choice and not expectation." His hand tightened slightly around mine and his gaze deepened. "Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will honor it. I promise. Every day I will honor it." I nodded slowly, letting the tension in my shoulders ease. The mansion, once a place of silent suffering and observation, now felt alive with possibility. Every corridor, every room, every quiet corner that had witnessed my tears and endurance now seemed to glow with potential, with the promise of mutual respect and shared understanding. "Sir," I whispered, voice trembling slightly with emotion. "I have endured betrayal, hardship, and silence. And now, I choose to allow love to exist alongside my independence, my strength, and my clarity." Adrian's eyes softened, and he smiled, almost shyly. "Anna, that is more than I could have asked for. And I will not take it lightly. I will cherish your trust, your heart, and your strength." I felt tears prick my eyes, but I held them back, savoring the quiet victory of recognition, of earned respect, of love chosen rather than assumed. "Sir, I am ready. Ready to walk forward, fully aware, fully myself, and open to what may come." He stepped closer, gently brushing a strand of hair from my face. "Then, let us walk forward together, Anna. Not with haste, not with expectation, but with awareness, respect, and mutual care." I nodded, the weight of the past months lifting, replaced by a serene sense of empowerment. "Yes, together. On terms that honor both of us." He smiled, a light, genuine expression that reached his eyes. "Anna, it is rare to find someone who commands both strength and grace. And I am grateful beyond words that you allow me to be part of your life on your terms." I felt a quiet thrill, a deep satisfaction that was both vindication and reward. Clarissa was gone from the equation, her schemes undone, her arrogance exposed. Karma had played its quiet role and I had remained steadfast, dignified and true. Sir, I have grown through all of this, I said softly. I have learned patience, resilience, and the power of choice. And now, I choose wisely with clarity and with hope. Adrian's gaze was unwavering, filled with admiration, sincerity, and affection. Anna, and that choice is the most beautiful thing I have witnessed. Not the past, not regret, not fear. But choice. Your choice. And I will honor it always. I felt my heart swell, steady and assured. Sir, I open my heart to you. But it remains guided by my awareness, my strength, and my dignity. I will not surrender it blindly again. He nodded, a gentle smile gracing his lips. Anna, that is all I could ever hope for. And I will walk beside you, respecting every part of who you are, every choice you make, and every moment of your heart. The mansion seemed to breathe around us, the quiet halls echoing with the resolution of conflict, the acknowledgement of loyalty, and the promise of something new, something earned, chosen, and mutual. I feel vindicated, I whispered almost to myself. Not by recognition alone, but by my ability to endure, to grow, and to choose freely. Adrian's hand squeezed mine gently, anchoring me in the present. And that is why this matters, Anna. Not just for me, not just for us, but for you. For your heart, your strength, your clarity. Honor it, and I honor you. I allowed a slow smile to form, tears welling but unfallen, savoring the quiet triumph of integrity and choice. Sir, I am ready. Ready for a future, shaped by respect, awareness, and mutual care. He drew me into a gentle embrace, not possessive, not demanding, but respectful, honoring the balance between affection and autonomy. Anna, and I am ready too. Ready to walk beside you as equals, as partners, fully aware, fully present, and fully committed. I felt warmth spread through me, a sense of empowerment and completion. The mansion, once a place of silent suffering and quiet observation, now felt like a sanctuary, a space where love was acknowledged, strength respected, and hearts could connect without compromise or fear. I am grateful, I whispered, resting my head lightly against his chest. For your honesty, your respect, and your promise. And I am grateful for you, he murmured, voice soft, steady. For your patience, your strength, and the courage to choose consciously and wisely. I felt a quiet sense of closure settle over me. The karmic balance had been restored, the betrayals resolved, and the emotional stakes honored. I had been seen, acknowledged, and valued. I had endured, grown, and now reclaimed my heart on my own terms. Sir, I am ready to move forward, I whispered, heart steady. Not with fear, not with hesitation, but with clarity, awareness, and hope. Adrian's arms tightened gently around me, a promise of understanding, sincerity, and mutual respect. Anna, then let us move forward, together. Fully, consciously, and with hearts reclaimed. I closed my eyes, savoring the moment, the calm, the warmth, the balance of acknowledgement and choice. For the first time, the mansion felt like a home, a place of empowerment, love, and respect. And in that quiet embrace, I realized, love could be earned, respect could be maintained, and hearts could be reclaimed, not through submission or compromise, but through patience, integrity, and the power of conscious choice. I had reclaimed my heart, and for the first time it felt entirely, wholly, and truly mine.